Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
when Romania executed its dictator on live TV.
It's the middle of December 1989. We're in the Palace Square in Bucharest, and it's nearly freezing. Over 50,000 people have been brought here. Many were taken straight from schools or their workplaces.
That's heartless.
Some have been standing in the cold for more than 5 hours, and they're all waiting for one man, Nicolae Ceaușescu. For 24 years, he's ruled Romania with an iron fist. A few days earlier, protests broke out in Timișoara after a local priest criticised Ceaușescu. When locals resisted his arrest, Ceaușescu's soldiers opened fire. Now, news have spread and protests are erupting across the country. Desperate to restore his image, Ceaușescu calls for a mass rally in Bucharest to be broadcast live on national television. It'll be the biggest mistake of his life.
Wow.
Ceaușescu steps out onto the balcony as he waves to the audience to the sound of almost deafening cheers. But something's off.
Why are they cheering?
Yeah, I thought. Why are they cheering if they don't like him?
Are they gonna assassinate? Is it assassinate?
I don't know. It's based on the title, I think so. I've never heard of this before.
Almost everyone in the crowd is standing completely still, except for a few people in the front rows. The cheering is fake. It's actually a pre-recorded track blasting from huge speakers.
This is giving me major North Korea vibes.
Around the square. Then, Ceaușescu starts his speech. And at first, things seem to be going rather well. But then, just as he's in the middle of thanking the organisers of the rally, screams can be heard from somewhere back in the crowd. This is not part of the pre-recorded track. Someone is shooting, his wife Elena shouts. They're entering the building, his security guard says. Off camera, demonstrators have broken through barriers and are heading toward the Central Committee building right where Ceaușescu is standing. The cameraman has had specific instructions to point it toward the sky if something unexpected happens. The demonstrators are now directly below Ceaușescu, and both him and Elena are shouting at them, telling them to stay.
No, well, the cameraman had instructions to point it at the sky.
Yeah, but there was no, when you watch something, warning.
There's no warning because we're looking at the sky, okay? It's beautiful. The sky is blue, couple clouds in the sky, okay? It's beautiful.
This is a provocation, Nicolae says to himself, as he and his wife continue to shout at the demonstrators. Somehow, the security guards actually managed to push the crowd back behind the barriers. But it's too late. And even as Ceaușescu continues his speech by announcing sudden wage increases and higher pensions, after the speech ends, many in the crowd refuse to go home. They've had enough of the lies, the repression, and of Ceaușescu. They spread through Bucharest, shouting things like, "Down with Ceaușescu," and calling for freedom. And when Ceaușescu hears of this, he's outraged.
That's a good tactic by him, though. He's like, okay, see people unhappy. Okay, let me give you a little leeway. Let me raise your wages, So everybody shut up and be happy about what they said. Not today.
Still in Bucharest, he orders tanks, soldiers, and his very own secret police to crush the protests by any means.
This is giving Lithuania circa, 91?
Necessary. And so, they do. Protesters are shot in the streets, and those who've barricaded themselves are hit by snipers positioned on top of many of the buildings.
Time. Wow. Wow.
By morning, there's so much blood in the streets that the military needs to hose it with huge water cannons just to get it off the asphalt. Meanwhile, Ceaușescu is still in Bucharest, and he's relieved. He's convinced that the uprising has been crushed. Surely, now, everything will be back to normal, he tells his wife, Elena. But he's wrong. Before dawn, the first reports come in that massive columns of workers are leaving their factories and heading toward the city centre. And something's changed. The soldiers and police sent out to control them suddenly refuse to shoot, and actually join the protesters instead.
Well, they had enough. What? You're killing your own people. Come on.
Ceaușescu immediately holds a crisis meeting with the remaining members of the Communist Party's Politburo in the Central Committee building. At the same time, hundreds of thousands of demonstrators now surround the Central Committee headquarters, and they're starting to break in. With protesters minutes away from reaching their offices, Ceaușescu orders his pilot to bring a helicopter to the roof. Both Nicolae and Elena are visibly shaken and have to be carried aboard by their bodyguards. Their faces are completely drained of colour. Together with 2 senior officials and 2 bodyguards, they squeeze into the helicopter and take off minutes before the protesters reach the rooftop. The pilot immediately heads toward Ceaușescu's residence in Snagov, north of the city. Here, Nicolae desperately tries to summon military assistance and orders the pilot to get 2 helicopters with soldiers as an escort. The answer from the other end, however, is clear. They're on their own. No one's coming to help.
Oh.
The pilot convinces the Ceaușescus to take off again quickly, leaving the 2 officials behind to lighten the load. Nicolae instructs the pilot to fly toward the western city of Titu, hoping to reach a loyal garrison. But suddenly, a message crackles over the radio. All flights are grounded. Any unidentified aircraft will be shot down, and so they have to land. The pilot puts them down by a road between Bucharest and Târgoviște. And with that, the Ceaușescus now find themselves on their own, with just 2 security guards.
Well, listen, they're by themselves, but at least they're away from the crowd. They're by themselves in the middle of nowhere where nobody's going to do nothing to them. So that's not the worst case scenario.
After a while, they manage to hijack a passing car.
Listen,
What?
GTA. this is GTA. Yo, this guy's a good storyteller, though. I'm sitting here on my edge of my seat.
Yeah.
A bicycle mechanic who drives them toward the town of Târgoviște. On the way,
Oh, so not hijack. I guess they recognized, it's a president, or not president, the leader.
the Ceaușescus listen in horror as the car radio plays a news report about the uprising's victory in Bucharest. The bicycle mechanic, Petrișor, suggests they hide at an agricultural institute on the outskirts of the city. When they arrive, the institute director shoves the couple into a room and locks the door, trapping them inside. Shortly after, local police arrest both Ceaușescus and hand them over to a nearby military barracks in the city for the next few days. The new government is determined to bring both to trial as quickly as possible. And so, the day after their capture, Iliescu, the new head of state, signs a decree establishing an extraordinary military tribunal to be carried out immediately at the barracks where they're held. Here, they're accused of genocide, of destroying the country's economy, and attempting to flee with over $1 billion in foreign banks.
$1 billion? He had the coin.
He's a billionaire.
Billionaire back then. You know how much that is now?
Where did he get this money from?
Well, he didn't pay nobody in the country. Everybody was starving, so he pocketed everything. This is a King Jong-un before King Jong-un. Telling you.
As their crimes are read to them, Nicolae simply laughs. The trial is brief and largely for show. It lasts about 2 hours and takes place without any real possibility for defence or appeal. Ceaușescu himself refuses to recognise the court and calls it illegal. But it doesn't matter. The tribunal finds both him and Elena guilty. The sentence, for both, is death by firing squad, and the execution will happen immediately.
Both?
Straight away, Nicolae tries to appeal the decision, but he's denied.
They do not look gagged.
Before being led out of the room, Nicolae turns to the guards and says he wants to be executed alongside Elena. They accept.
Excuse me?
Meanwhile, a soldier
Yikes.
returns with rope to tie their hands, but neither Nicolae
Yikes.
nor Elena wants to be restrained. Both argue with the soldiers, saying there's no need for it and that they're not going to run. But again, they're denied. They're then led out into the courtyard and placed against a wall to the barracks. Elena begins to scream insults at the execution squad in rage. Other accounts say that she starts crying. Nicolae, on the other hand, remains relatively calm in his...
What do you mean other accounts? If it's on live TV, there is an account. There is no
Yeah.
debate whether she screams, cries, what she does. If it's on live TV, then there's footage.
final seconds and begins singing the first line of the Internationale, the workers' international battle song. The very next day,
And of course, they're playing a little narco song from like Pablo Escobar.
Romanian television shows footage of the two bodies at
Wow.
the foot of the barracks wall as final proof that the Ceaușescus are gone. In May 1990, Romania held its first free elections since 1937. Over the next 2 decades, it joined NATO, entered the European Union, and began rebuilding.
Ooh, that's rough. That's rough. That was too much.
Wow.
Let me see the comments.
Wow. I've never heard of this in my life. Wow.
You know, I thought he would say, "Oh, you can spare my wife and just kill me." He said, "No, we can do it together." That's crazy.
Listen,
no,
she
I
wasn't
never heard
she
of
wasn't
that.
as innocent as you think, okay?
Oh.
She probably had all the pillow talk advice.
Oh.
Insane what can happen in 3 days even to someone who considered themselves invincible.
So that guy who was in the car and take him to the event, he was a traitor. He traded. Wow.
Listen,
I wonder why they trusted him. They had
no choice. They had no
right?
choice. They were in the middle of nowhere. This is a very rare moment in history when footage captures a dictator in a moment of realization that he is screwed.
I don't know.
That
He
is
seemed
true.
pretty chill.
He was chill because I think he was in denial that, oh, they're actually gonna go through with it. They're like, oh, the democracy, there has to be like, he doesn't recognize this court. I think he didn't think it was actually gonna happen.
When they got out the rope, then he saw, oh, this is real.
I love that you cited every photo you used. That's credibility to the channel. They actually filmed the execution. I remember seeing it on the telly. I was amazed at the brutal reality of automatic gunfire. I'd only seen machine guns fired in movies. Hold up, let's see these comments real quick. I'm sure it's quick though. It was Merry Christmas.
Do you remember in Home Alone, the shooting?
In YouTube's infancy, you could find a clip here, but someone quickly ruined that. I seem to remember that the soldiers were so eager to kill them that there wasn't even enough time for ready aim fire. One spontaneously started shooting and then the whole group followed. They both left this world with more holes than a Swiss cheese. Ooh.
Wow. So I wonder if they were buried.
Hold up. Somebody said they did not film the execution. The camera crew did not arrive until they were after the shot.
Oh.
So I'm confused. It was film. I've seen it.
So I wonder what happened to the money. Because it's in their bank accounts, overseas bank accounts.
This Romanian government probably could subpoena.
It's not a movie. This is very interesting.
Honestly, this deserves like a Netflix documentary series. I've never heard about this. This would this is something I would watch on Netflix. Like this is very interesting. Yeah.
Do they have kids? Like.
No. Wait, yeah. The comment below it said something about the son. Yeah. Ceaușescu's son, whose name I forget, was a government civil servant. He was accused of financial crimes because of what his co-workers found in his desk: a bottle of whiskey, a chocolate bar, and a pack of Kent cigarettes, a favorite brand in Romania. The country was so poor, those items were considered a huge luxury.
Oh.
Don't ask me how I remember this. Well, how do you remember this?
I wonder what happened to him. In the family line too, like. Wow, very interesting, very fascinating. This is really, really, really interesting. Now I need more. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.